Welcome back to Spirit Speaks. Again, I'm your host, Lisa Virtue, and I'm here once again with Nanci Danison, continuing our series on what I'm starting to call tidbits from the afterlife. Nanci has had a profound near-death experience and has learned so much when she was there that she's sharing with us here in some bite-sized pieces so that we can enjoy that resonance with home from source like we talked about last time. So welcome back to the show, Nanci. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Lisa. It's my pleasure.
So we've started going through a list of questions that you asked Source when you first arrived. And so we're on question number 2. And that question is, who am I? So you met Source and said, who the heck am I? What's this all about? What did you find out?
Way more than I ever expected. And we are way more than I ever expected. I got a huge download of information about, exactly who I am and who I'm not. And what I was told and shown is that I am not human. I am the soul inside the human body, and that the human bodies are just earth animals, just like every other animal. And that the personality that I think of as Nanci doesn't belong to the body. It belongs to me, the soul. Human animals don't have that much personality. I mean, they have about the same amount of personality as you would normally see in a cat or a dog or a horse. They do have some distinctive characteristics each, but by and large, humans are all the same. They have the same innate character traits, the same innate drives and instincts. What really is unique is the soul personality that operates and acts through the human body. And I was told that, I basically just rented space in this body as a soul.
Nanci, what do you feel, as a human being, soul in a human being? I have moments where I'm feeling like really what I call aligned. I'm like, I feel like I'm right on track and I'm in my pure soulness. But then I have times where I am not feeling that way at all. I'm, going through emotions or challenges or life just seems rough. Is there some aspect of like the human animal that is taking charge in that time, or how does that work?
Source manifested human animals as part of the universe. I mean, they evolved, just the same, evolution theory that is taught in schools. Humans did evolve from lower life forms, and I saw that evolution, but I can't for the life of me remember what the lower life forms were. Then soul puts its own self-awareness, self-consciousness perspective into physical matter, like humans, as the soul. And that saying where, you got an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other?
Yeah.
That's really, it's not, there's no devil. There's no devil on your shoulder or anywhere else. But there are two personalities within the body. One is you, the eternal personality, the part of source. The other is the animal personality of your body. And they don't always agree. By and large, if a person is not aware that they're the soul, if they are not enlightened, they will believe they're the body.
Right.
And so there's not that much conflict, and the body runs the show. And it'll run the show in accordance with animal drives, animal instincts, animal needs, animal fears, basically self-preservation.
Right.
Is what drives human life. And, the body will engage in eating, drinking, sleeping, recreating, and procreating, because that's animal life.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when we souls do take over the body. And I can hear now, viewers will say, oh, I'm not like that, and we aren't like that. We souls do have the opportunity to act through our incarnations, we are able to show love and compassion and empathy and be giving and creative and curious and talented and all kinds of wonderful things that we use the body to demonstrate. So it's a combined being that has the opportunity to experience and to live both kinds of lives, animal and soul.
Nancy, is there, because I know people wonder this all the time, is there a purpose? People will often ask, what's my purpose? So we feel like we each have an individual purpose. And maybe there is also a purpose to everyone being here. What did you learn about that aspect of things?
That both exist. We do have individual purposes and there is a general purpose. Source created us within its mind. We are mental characters, like an author has book characters in its mind. Or if you've ever watched Star Trek Next Generation, they've got
Absolutely.
holodeck characters. So we're like the holodeck characters. But we exist entirely within Source's mind. And Source created us for the purpose of experiencing what it's like not to be Source, what it's like not to already know everything. Incarnating into humans gives us the element of surprise. Source is never surprised.
It definitely does that.
It gives us the opportunity to learn in a linear fashion. Source knows everything, so it can't learn unless it goes into physical matter like humans that experiences learning. And so the purpose of all souls incarnating is to experience physical life for Source.
Mm-hmm.
The individual purposes can vary depending upon how many times we've incarnated. Incarnation is one stage of the afterlife. There are lots of other stages.
Huh.
When we're in the incarnation stage or phase, we generally, when we're starting out in our incarnation cycle, we pick some theme or some concept or idea or aspect of life that we're interested in. And that theme or purpose or perspective or whatever it is we want to know about could be something that is only available in physical life, like jealousy, grieving, physical injury, what some humans call mental illness. I mean, there are lots of things that an individual soul might decide it's interested in learning about, and it will incarnate into creatures all over the universe as many times as necessary to experience that theme, that idea from 360 degrees of perspective.
I was just thinking to say I've had this idea, and it's probably come from the work I do with spirit, where it's like our soul has a subject that it wants to study, and it comes in like a gem with all the facets. It's like it wants to see every facet, and so I also see that perhaps is what people would call karma, where they're like, oh, you were bad to them in that way then, and so now you're receiving it back. But I see it more as the soul investigating all possibilities around that subject. So you've experienced, for example, betraying someone, and then another time you experience being betrayed, and every possibility around the betrayal subject, for example. Does that
Yeah,
seem
but
like
you can
what?
see the way you describe it, you can see how people could think there's karma because
Yeah.
they think that, there's cause and effect when really it's just the soul deciding, well, it's time to, experience this from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And we do the deciding.
We do the designing.
Yeah, we decide whether to incarnate and how often, how, into what. It's all free will. It's all free choice of each individual soul.
That's good to know.
Oh, and there are two other purposes that souls might choose, and these are generally what if the soul has incarnated a lot into a particular type of creature or thing, it may choose one of these other two purposes. One is to be a support soul. And so, two souls may make an agreement in the afterlife to incarnate at the same time. And the support soul will incarnate into a human that you would normally think of as being in a supporting role. So let's say that maybe soul number one is new to incarnating into humans, and soul number two decides, well, I'll go and be your support person and help you along. And so that soul number two might be the parent or the religious advisor or a teacher or a friend or a spouse or a child, somebody that would traditionally play a support role. And the entire life of the support person is just to give support to their beloved soul number one. And the rest of it can just be fun.
Yeah, the main purpose is for support, and everything else is like a bonus.
Everything else is just fun. I mean, there's no path to it. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can just do whatever you want. The other purpose is even more limited, and that's you've agreed to come into physical life with another soul in order to be a catalyst for something they want to do. So let's say soul number one wants to experience what it's like to be a famous brain surgeon and save the life of the President of the United States. Mm. So soul number two will come into incarnation with soul number one, and soul number two will shoot the president.
Right.
And that's their only job. And I'm not suggesting that, that's
right.
That's an actual scenario that could happen, but it'd be just one act, one situation.
So people who, like, say they're victims of a crime or some horrible thing, potentially could be the support person to help, someone else involved in that. So maybe support the perpetrator in living that experience, or support other people in, deciding to rise up against something. Would you say that's works in that way as well?
Yeah, that's a possibility. But, anybody who hears that will say, oh, I never would have volunteered to do that. I never would have volunteered to be abused or to be hurt or to be raped or whatever. Yeah. What humans don't realize is human nature does not include unconditional love. Right. We think it does, but it doesn't. Unconditional love is when you are willing to incarnate with another soul and to go through 80 or 90 years of hellacious experiences just for the benefit of the other soul. And that's unconditional love. Mm. When we get back into the afterlife and we look at that 80 or 90 year long human life, it's like 2 seconds in comparison to our eternal life. So it's not that big a burden to the soul. To the human it is.
Yeah.
But the other thing to keep in mind is, the scenario you described might just be biology at work.
Right. That animal nature.
Humans are violent animals. Yeah. And so there may be no purpose to it at all. There may be no soul agreement. There may be nothing but just wild animal behavior.
Oh. We just don't know from this perspective.
No, we don't know.
When we get to the afterlife, we'll understand. But
yes,
until then, we just do our best to make the best of what's going on.
Yeah, here. And in the afterlife, we have a life review, and part of the purpose of a life review is to answer all our questions like that. So if we want to know, well, was that just animal behavior, or was there a real purpose to that? We'll get that answer in our life review.
Right. I've got this long list of things that are going to come up in my life review, because I'm like, when I get to the afterlife, I'll find out. Can't wait to find out what that was about. Okay. Nanci, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's really informative and inspiring, and I think it broadens our minds to what is and what's possible and what's out there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lisa.
All right, so if you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more in our series, be sure to hit subscribe and like the videos and click the little bell so you get your reminder when the next one comes out. And we have other videos as well in the Spirit Speak series, so be sure to check those out. Until next time.